Elder statesman Pa Edwin Clark on Tuesday faulted the invasion of his country home in the Kiagbodo area and that of his father in the Ughelli South local government areas of Delta State by the military over allegations of harboring one of the suspects that were involved in that heinous killing of 17 military personnel in the Okuama community. The leader for the Pan-Niger Delta Forum told journalists at a news conference in Abuja on Tuesday that his country home in Kiagbodo was invaded by officers of the Nigerian Army on March the 23rd. Ija Youth Council President Jonathan Lokpobiri, he joins me now to discuss the allegations of this raid on the home of Pa Edwin Clark and the likely impact on restiveness within the Niger Delta. Good to have you join me here on Newsday. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. How are you?
Doing well, thank you very much. So, Jonathan, what more do we know about this raid on the homes of Pa Edwin Clark and his father? Are there any more details that have been revealed that you have heard of?
Well, first, let me express the collective sadness of the Ijaw people over these provocative actions of the Nigerian military in their quest for justice for slain officers, which the entire Nigeria shared the grief with the Nigerian military and the desire for all Nigerians to get culprits being brought to book. For us as Ijaw people, it almost appears like there's a targeted onslaught against the Ijaw people using the scenario of what happened at Okuama, asking for details about what had happened regarding the invasion of our father's home. There's no truth as to the claim that criminals who were involved in that dastardly act had any trace of being in Pa Clark's home, either in Ughelli or in Kiagbodo, his hometown. Let me tell you this, there's quite a distance between Ughelli and Kiagbodo community, wherein Pa Clark has his home. And from the message from our father was that the GOC had earlier spoken to him concerning an operation which they apologized that it was a misinformation that led them raided his house in Ughelli. And the elder statesman accepted the apology in the hope that it was an honest mistake by the Nigerian military, maybe via an information that perhaps not correct. But after he had spoken to the GOC, he had also sympathized with the Nigerian military, only to be inundated with further calls that his home in Kiagbodo, where the Pa Clark University resides, has been invaded, where virtually every houses within the neighborhood were broken and people held hostage as though they were the real suspects or criminals around, And then it simply ends with an apology. The simple question is, who is not aware that Pa Clark's house is resident in Kiagbodo? Who can tell Nigerians truly that they are not aware that they were just passing by and just ran into Pa Clark's home and then treated the old man and the people who are his staff and then his family members with this level of disdain or treatment on account of an incident that every Nigerians are in solidarity with the military. Let me say this. It is becoming quite clear to us that there's more to this Okuama incident. I would not be surprised when many job people will be targeted and their homes perhaps razed down on account of looking for people who had a role in that incident. Pa Clark is perhaps just one out of several that perhaps are on the line of being targeted. Otherwise, if the GOC had spoken to him earlier and apologized to the elder statesman that it was a misinformation that perhaps led them to raid a home, which they only later discovered that was his family home. Now, going further to his community, which is a distance from Ughelli, to conduct such an operation, it calls for concern.
Well, that leads me to my next question.
Nigerian military...
Allow me to interrupt you for the sake of time. That leads me to my next question. Do you feel like the methods that the military are using are not quite appropriate for the situation? We in Nigeria are no stranger to the heavy-handedness sometimes of our security forces. Do you recommend that they use less aggressive methods in trying to fish out these suspects? And do you think that Pa Edwin Clark was being specifically targeted, and for what reason?
Well, I cannot stand here and say the reasons for which that targeted action was taken. But the simple truth is that if a man of 97 years old who had given his best of service and still continuing to provide that leadership for the Niger Delta people, is being targeted for a crime that himself had openly spoken against. If for any reasons anybody is linked to that home, couldn't the military do their background intelligence and do their homework and target criminals rather than this open harassment of the psyche or the psychology of a 97 years old man? Is it appropriate? Also, one question that come to mind is that except Nigerians want to know under the current government that Nigerians will be governed by fears. And in my opinion, the best military approach is a civilian-friendly approach where the civilian populace can help the military in guiding intelligence towards criminals who are a menace to all in society, rather than working in isolation, isolating Nigerians and targeting some they wish to perhaps hunt down. For me, it's unacceptable. We're all Nigerians. We want Nigeria safer for all, including the military itself, because our military is overburdened by internal security. This is actually not the job of the military. The military, by the Constitution, is saddled with the responsibility of providing security for Nigeria against external aggressions. But the military is so overburdened that they now do the whole work of police and then other paramilitary agencies of our country. And it's not healthy for even the military. Sometimes I sympathize with them, but the method by which they go about resolving conflicts it can't be appropriate, or it's not acceptable in a modern day architecture in terms of providing security. Nigerians will be happy to work with the military on intelligence.
It is quite unfortunate what we're seeing unfold. What we want for the country is peace and security, and we surely hope that will be the case going forward despite this current situation. Thank you so much for joining me to speak today, Jonathan Lopobiri. He is the Ijah Youth Council President. Thank you so much.